Okay, so you've finished writing your book, but now the question is, now that you've got it formatted and we're ready to publish it, but which platform should you post it on? If you're publishing your book, you do not wish to choose the wrong platform because there is a lot of differences between the different platform choices that you have when it comes to your book. And that's the reason why we're going to discuss today free self-publishing websites. This is Chris Baird from selfpublishingmadeeasynow.com, where self-publishing doesn't have to be so hard. Now, there are things to do before using free publishing companies. And the reason we're looking at the free ones is we've also looked at paid ones. There's lots of vanity presses and hybrid presses. I know the word vanity press sometimes can have a negative connotation to it, but in reality, it's companies trying to help you get your book published onto the market. But I am mostly interested in the ones that are absolutely free. And the things you're going to want to consider are things like, what is the royalty rate? How difficult is it to get your book onto that platform? How big of an audience do they actually have? And a lot of other things like customer support. How often are they sending royalties to you? How big are those royalties, right? There's lots of things we want to know about the companies that we're considering of putting our books onto. And that's why we're going to be looking at the 8 best free self-publishing sites to know in 2023. So let's just get right on into it. Number 1 is Amazon KDP. Now, the advantages of Amazon is that it has a wide reach. Amazon you're able to reach people all over the world. There are millions of Kindle customers, and every day they are adding more and more regions of the world and more customers. And the reason being is because you do not need a Kindle device to read their books. You need any cell phone will work just fine since they have an app on all, whether you're Android or you're an iPhone, you can do it. And I can tell you, I personally read almost all of my books on an iPhone through the Kindle app. You can even have it read the books to you if you wish to do it. So there's a lot of options available. The other is the ease of use of the platform. The platform is my favorite of all of the free ones I'm going to discuss today in terms of using the platform itself. There are a few things that are a little bit clunky, but for the most part, it goes really smoothly. You have complete control over the pricing, the distribution of your book, every aspect of the book you can completely control of what's going to happen, and you can see what those royalties are going to be. And the people who come onto the site, they're ready to buy. They just only have to just click the buy now button and they've purchased it. Amazon even tries to help you with their pricing to ensure that you price your books in such a way that it will maximize sales. They'll even adjust the price in order to help you out to ensure you do that. Now, the downside, of course, is the royalties, because Amazon, they're not as high as some platforms. They'll give you 70% on your Kindle books, but you have to price it between $2.99 and $9.99 in order to get those advantages. And so that's something you're definitely going to have to consider. Plus, based upon where in the world it's being delivered, like the paperback books, that's going to take a bite out of your royalties. But for the most part, I think the royalties are fantastic on Amazon, but it is a downside compared to some other platforms. The other is competition. There are so many millions of books coming on Amazon, so unless you're following the strategies I teach you here, or learning things like my Content Marketing Made Easy course and going through that, learning how to get your book, find that audience and get these people to buy your book, then you're going to be competing against millions of authors. And that's one of the things with the keywords and all of these things that you're going to want to be able to do, so that when people are searching, your book is going to show up and not somebody else's book. You're going to be top of mind for your readers when it comes to getting your books to sell. And even with high competition on Amazon, it is still by far my absolute number 1 pick of starting places to go with your book. But you have to stick around to hear my number 2 choice. But moving on, Publish Drive. Now, the thing the Publish Drive brings is a huge, massive distribution. So it allows you to push your book out to all sorts of online distributors as well as libraries in order to reach a really maximal audience. They also have really advanced analytics and reporting tools that are built in, giving you those real-time sales tracking and reporting, unlike some other sites where literally it's completely in shambles. I'll hit them in a little bit. And so, but the downside, of course, is you have limited control over the marketing and promotions. They don't have the same things that Amazon has on their site, where you have this promotions and the ads, in particular on Amazon is what I'm thinking about. They don't have exactly the same thing. And so the market is a little bit more difficult to do the marketing side if you're going to Publish Drive. And the biggest reason is the fees. Publish Drive is going to charge you for the service of putting your books onto their platform. This is one of the biggest reasons why most self-publishers publishers I know do not use Publish Drive, but the royalty rates can be high, and it's like one-time sort of fees on some aspects of what they're doing, and the rates can be very, very high, even with different prices outside of the range that Amazon has even suggested. So Publish Drive is worth considering for certain. The next one is Barnes & Noble Press. Now, what do they bring to you? They bring a large audience. It's one of the largest book retailers in the whole world, right? Well, at least in the United States. And the thing is, Amazon, of course, beats everybody, and that's why I do push Amazon still. But with their large customer base and book lovers, it really brings that crowd in there, and you're able to reach them because you're coming straight onto their marketplace when you're putting your books on the Barnes & Noble and get it directly out to those readers, and they of course will give favorable treatment to books that are done through their own platform. The other is it gives you access to tools and resources. They have a whole series of tools and resources that are available to help you promote your book, including easy to use platform for formatting and publishing. It does all these things, and of course your dashboard, which is a great one for tracking sales and your royalties that are coming in. The downside of Barnes & Noble is that it has limited distribution, nowhere near as big as Amazon has for your books, and so it's dependent upon readers actually coming to this specific platform in order to do it, and that is not nearly as many as are coming when we're looking to Amazon. In addition, the competition, there are a lot of books on Barnes & Noble Press, and so you're going to be competing against a lot of these books. So it's not like you put your book out there and you're the only one in that category. It's got a really wide audience of people who are there, and lots of books that are being put out on a regular basis. Still not as many as Amazon, but then again, the distribution isn't as large either, so we have to worry a little bit more about the competition. Now, moving on to the next one, Apple Books. The biggest thing with Apple Books is a wide reach, because of course these books are available on all iPhone and iPhone devices, so you're able to read your books. They also have really high royalty rates. In fact, for some of the royalty rates, they can be as high, depending upon country, as 85%, which is crazy high when we compare to even Amazon's amazing rate of 70%. These are really amazing rates if you're able to get your books to sell. If you're targeting them correctly, as I teach my group coaching and one-on-one clients, where you're going in there and using the right tools like Katie Spy and Publisher Rocket in order to figure out whether or not these keywords are profitable, and then shooting your books directly aiming at these specific markets. The downside, though, of Apple Books is limited distribution, because it has to be on the Apple platform, and that's one of the huge challenges you're going to have, which is a large chunk of the world isn't actually using Amazon devices. They're using Android devices and not Apple devices, and since they're not using Apple devices, it makes it harder for them to do it. The other thing that's difficult is there's a steep learning curve. It has its own unique formatting and submission requirements and a lot of things that even if you're familiar with the other platforms, this is yet one more thing you're going to have to learn when you're going onto this platform. This is probably one of the biggest reasons I do not personally use Apple Books, is because there's a bit of a barrier, a learning curve that's there. Though by doing things through aggregate companies like Drafted Digital or previously Smashwords, you can get your books onto Apple anyway. So it just sort of cuts right through that if we're talking about the ebook versions. So that's also something that you should consider when you're putting out your books. The next one is Google Play Books. And the thing is with Google Play Book, it's that it has a really massive distribution. Because keep in mind, we're talking about all of these Android devices and on the desktop too. So if they have the desktop version on the Google Play Store on your Windows PC or whatever, you're going to be able to download those books, and so you're just going to get in front of a lot of people. Also, it's really easy to put your books together onto their thing, making the publishing process itself not very painful. Okay, but of course, there are some downsides, and one of the big ones is limited visibility. Compared to other ebook retailers, Google Play, it really has limited visibility. There's not that many eyes. People going, I'd like to buy a book. Let me get onto Google Play to go buy that book. So it's a much smaller crowd than we would find when we'd be looking at Amazon, and the lower royalty rates that you're going to be expecting by going on this platform when we compare to other retailers. So that might be a little bit disturbing, a little bit pulling away a bit from your books actually being published onto this platform. And so whether you want to do it or not, I don't know. The royalty rates for me are a big deal in the size of the audience, but if you can go wide, this can compensate. In other words, what does it hurt to put your book onto the platform just to get those sales? All right, the next one is my second, maybe my first most favorite place, which is Ingram Spark. Really, really love this one. The first thing is a wide distribution network. How many retailers are we talking about? We're talking about 39,000 retailers, libraries, online platforms. It is huge the size of the audience that Ingram Spark reaches. This is one of the reasons I put all of my books onto Ingram Spark as paperback and the ebook versions. And I can tell you that if you want to get promo codes in order to even cut the costs of doing this, you can do it by becoming a member of the Alliance of Independent Authors. This is the one I'm definitely a member of. This was the main reason I joined them, was specifically to get the free promo codes so that I could get my books onto Ingram Spark without having to pay $50 per book, which is what I previously had done. But I make more money off of Ingram Spark's paperbacks than I do off of Amazon's, which is absolutely amazing because I don't even focus on reviews on Ingram Spark. Okay. The other big advantage they have is print on demand capabilities. They have some serious machines, the ability to pump out books to print them as you do it. So you're not sitting with a garage like in the old days filled with your books. We do not want thousands of books and then we're giving them out like candy to people because we cannot sell them. No. Print on demand means they're simply printing them when people place the orders. Now, this is similar to Amazon. KDP Print also does this as well. But I really like Ingram Spark. Now, let's get to the negatives, and there are a couple negatives, okay? The first is the cost. And for their distribution and stuff, the costs are higher on Ingram Spark than you'd find on these other platforms, which means for their setup fees and their book charges, as I commented, there's ways of getting around this up to a certain number of books per year, which is phenomenal. So I definitely still would recommend the Ingram Spark route. Is so amazing. So that's the cost side. The other is the learning curve. It's complicated to learn how to properly use it, use their entire site and the way that they have the thing set up, but it is doable, and I tell 100% of all of my clients and students to definitely learn this tool. It is worth your time. But the real negative, and this is the one that I go back and forth, I'm going to tell you on a monthly basis with them, it is their reporting. Now, they do have new reports that are fancy, but when they pay you money, they make it really difficult to get a copy of the receipts. So I bug them and bug them and bug them until they finally send me a copy of the receipts, because in their existing platform, unlike every other distributor, when they pay me on the monthly basis and I get this huge paycheck coming in from Ingram Spark, I go to the website and say, okay, well, where do I find the PDF so I can download it so that my accountants are able to register this thing and doing bookkeeping? And the thing is it just can't, there's no way to get it. They don't have a thing. You can fill out something and then they have bugs and problems with their system. So, but I'm telling you, it's still worth your time. There's a lot less competition because of these costs. And as a result, your sales are going to be bigger. These books will also show up on Amazon, competing with your books on Amazon. So that's also something. You do need to provide an ISBN for these ones as well. And that's one of the reasons I purchased 1,000 ISBNs, to ensure I never run out when I'm using ISBNs on Ingram Spark, because it is such a powerful platform. Now, I want to move on to the next one, and that is Kobo Writing Life. Okay, Kobo Writing Life. The reach, they have a large reach and their global audience. And the thing is, they are available in how many countries? 190 countries. They allow you to reach a larger audience and potentially increase your book sales as a result of that. The other thing that I really like with them is the royalties and payment options. They allow you to actually really have much better control than you do on other sites in terms of it. They don't just say, oh, you have to sell it in this price range or else we're going to destroy your sales. They really don't do that, okay? And so that's another thing to consider, right? And it can be particularly beneficial for authors who are living within the United States, the ability to control these royalty rates based upon different currencies and such. So that is fantastic. A couple downsides. They have a smaller market share compared to when we're looking at Amazon and some of the other sites, so they're not as big. But I can say their ebook creators, even here in Norway, they sell their Kobos, the ones, I don't even see Kindles in the store here. This is where I see Kobo. Their e-readers are definitely more popular here in Europe than they are in other areas of the world. And the other one is they have a limited amount of promotional tools available on Ingram Spark when we compare to some other sites. So there's just not that many available, so it makes it harder to reach that limited number of readers we already have. And so I do not personally put my books through Kobo. Now, moving on, it's Lulu. Now, Lulu is one that I've always recommended with regards to hardcover books, though I have now been moving and putting them all on Amazon instead. Even though Amazon, I liked to sort of spread it out, it's just that the royalty rates were a little bit not as good. But let me save that till the end of this one for Lulu. The first is the ease of use. So Lulu is really easy to use, and they do, in fact, show you when you're going in there exactly how many sales you're getting, and it's easy to get the receipts, unlike Ingram Spark. So that's a big plus on the Lulu front. The other is you have complete control. So you're able to control the design and the cover and all of these things. It's about as easy as Ingram Spark, in my opinion. Maybe it's more difficult than Amazon, but you still have you have quite a bit of control, and they maybe have the most options also when it comes to sizes and things on your books. But I'm telling you, for all of your books, and you know I'm talking to you, make your books in 6x9. That will maximize your distribution. If you don't believe me, Google it. What is the best size to do your books in? I don't care what kind of book it is. If you're doing a children's book or an adult book, or you're doing whatever type of book it is, you need to make it 6x9. So quit choosing these weird shapes. I have clients sometimes who come to me and say, I want to make a book and I need it to be like a triangle or a hexagon. And I am like, why do you not want your books in libraries and on as many platforms as possible? So just go with 6x9, and then we don't have to really worry about it. But if you do need these options, Lulu is going to be the place for you and your book. Okay? Now here's a couple negatives. You have limited reach. Lulu primarily serves the self-publishing community. Its books may not be as widely as available as others published through the traditional channels as some of the others. So there's a limited reach. It's not as much, but they will push them back through Amazon as well. Okay? So you put your book on Lulu, you can link it up to your Amazon profile, and so hardcover books was what I was particularly using it for in the old days before Amazon got their act together and started making it easy to do that. The other is the royalties are not all that wonderful on Lulu. Okay, so when I see that, they have the costs they have are so massive compared to the other sites. That was the biggest reason I moved my hardcover books from Lulu over to Amazon. Now I still keep them on Amazon, on Lulu, the ones that I put out there, but in terms of the long run, they're definitely staying put on. I'm keeping them on Amazon for my hardcover books. So the final one I want to hit is Dream. Now Dream is one you may not even heard about. It's Dream with an E at the end. It has a really large user base, right? And this is mostly people in the Asian market. And that's something definitely worth hitting, as it is a growing market. Lots of people, lots of phones, very interested. And it's a very popular reading app with a huge, massive reader base, providing a great opportunity to reach these audiences as you're moving forward and giving you that visibility. In addition, you have all sorts of monetization opportunities because it gives you different ways to earn money, such as in-app purchases and advertising revenue sharing that you don't have. In fact, I've never heard of any of that on any of the other platforms. Dream gives you this advantage, huge advantage. The downside is language limitations because they're focusing on the Asian market. That means the languages they really are looking at are Chinese, Korean, and Japanese. And if your writer's writing in this market, then it may be fine, but otherwise you're going to need translation services, and usually here comes a little secret strategy for you. If your book is written in English and you haven't even gotten sales on it, do not start selling your book in 50 different languages. I can tell you, I have clients who do this. I'm like, well, how many sales are you getting on your book? I haven't launched it yet. I'm going to have it available in 50 languages. And if you're using automatic language translation software, you're going to have another problem, which is that you can get yourself banned on Amazon for pumping it through garbage translators. So you have to make sure that the book is properly translated. And if we don't even have a market in the US, we don't even know if they're buying your book in the US, wait to see that we're getting sales in the US and then translate your book to the other regions and then maybe put it onto Dream and see what happens, okay? The other is content restrictions. They have very strict guidelines. Unlike Amazon and these other sites will let you put up almost any book, Dream is simply not going to do that. So in conclusion, you can see that of these 8 different companies, there's a lot of choices to make, a lot of positives and negatives to keep in mind. I just want to tell you my own personal choice would be you should put your books onto Amazon. Then you should make sure that your paperback and your ebooks also are going through Ingram Spark. And to get the other platforms, at least on the ebook, I'd probably run it through Draft to Digital. This is the route that I personally would suggest with your books, but it depends upon your situation and the things that matter most to you. My question for you is, which platforms are you using? Go ahead and let me know below in the comments, and I will see you in the video right above me here. Thanks.